million to help these areas. And Breakfast Jane McCubbin is in Weston Super Mare for us this morning, finding out how far the money will go. Will it make a difference? And she has a giant deck chair. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Yeah, we're bringing our big BBC breakfast deck chair on a tour of Britain's beaches all this week. We're trying to get under the skin of Britain's amazing coastal communities to find out what is happening there. Today, we're talking about investment, money, economic growth. And as you've been hearing all morning, too many of these areas are languishing at the bottom of league tables in terms of educational attainment, in terms of health, in terms of economic growth, in terms of economic value. This place, Weston Super Mare, beautiful this morning, the sun is just coming out, is doing really rather well. It is at the top of league tables. But let me introduce now Scott Core from the Social Market Foundation.
Good morning.
You crunched the data for us across Britain and looked at what was happening comparatively from the coast to the non-coastal communities. It's a grim picture.
Well, that's right. What our research shows is really a cocktail of economic and social problems in the UK's coastal communities. And in particular, one thing that really comes out in our research is just how badly paid people that work in coastal communities are. If you live in a coastal community, you will earn on average £4,000 per year less than someone who's not in a coastal community if you're working. And in places like Scarborough, it's even worse than that. You will earn about £8,000 per year less than someone working elsewhere in the country.
It's very stark, isn't it? I mean, it's inevitable, though, is it not, that cities, especially London, will receive more investment from government because they are the engines of our economy. We've just listened in to the government minister talking about fresh investment announced today, £40 million for coastal communities specifically. What do you make of that?
Well, I think £40 million is really just a drop in the ocean compared with the scale of the problems in the UK's coastal communities, particularly when you compare it with some of the other infrastructure projects that are taking place. So over £60 billion being spent on HS2, £40 million really isn't a lot of money spread across the whole country.
The government would say, but that's going to trickle down to everybody. But you think actually helping lift up the coast helps everybody equally. Why?
Well, some of the UK's biggest problems are because we've got economic growth concentrated in a small number of cities. This is causing housing crises, it's causing congestion. And really what we want to do as a country is spread economic growth and prosperity out a bit. So we take some of the pressure off housing, take some of the pressure off the transport network in our cities. So we need more growth by the coast.
Everywhere. Let's come and chat to some of the cheerleaders for part of the coast. I want to introduce now Mark Cribb, business owner from Bournemouth. We referred to you as Mr. Bournemouth before.
Yeah.
What is the problem? The tourists kind of left in the 60s, and what happened?
I think when the tourists left, then you did start to get it's this pockets of deprivation. I think we were quite lucky in Bournemouth that it wasn't the whole town, but in Boscombe, where I'm based, just to the east of Bournemouth, the bed and breakfast ended up turning into HMOs, and that led
HMOs,
houses of multiple occupancy, basically, which led to this sort of downward spiral with maybe some drugs and alcoholism. But it's changing, and it is investment, and I don't think you need to, 40 million isn't going to fix it, but it's about being a catalyst for change. If you can invest a little bit to start, then ultimately it will knock on, and it's about the collaboration with us, with the university and the business improvement districts and the council and all sorts of stuff.
Thank you very much for your time. Let me introduce Tony Robertson, Mr. Scarborough, looking fantastic.
Thank you.
I mean, you get an awful lot of visitors in, but you are still languishing at the bottom of some of these league tables. Tourism isn't the answer for everything, is it?
No, it isn't. I mean, one of the things we're trying to do in Scarborough is create a digital and creative economy as well. There needs to be other things going on as well as tourism. One of the great things that we've got going on at the moment is that we've got 2.5 million from the Communities Fund, and that's created this new fantastic market hall that'll put 30 new businesses in the market hall with the old traders, artisan food, all sorts of things,
jobs around
creating businesses that take people on in jobs, growing businesses. It's how to use the money.
There is so much to talk about this morning. Hopefully we'll have more time later. Only 15% of international tourists visit our coast. There is an untapped resource here that we should get into. Back to you.